97% of sports bettors lose money in the long run. That's not clickbait, that's just the harsh reality of sports betting in 2025. Whether you're smashing player props or you're line shopping like a pro, most people are still leaking a ton of units. Now why? Today we're going to be going over some of these sharp insights, some of the data that you've probably never even heard of before as to why only 3% of sports bettors actually see profit in the long term. Now, let's start with the obvious. It's called the VIG, the house edge, whatever you want to call it, right? It's the built-in tax that sportsbooks charge their users to place bets and to use their platform. If you think about like a casino, every single game has a house edge, right? A roulette table has around a 4 to 5% house edge. A blackjack table has around a 1% house edge. There are so many other things, right? Even slots. Every single game, every single gambling game at a casino gives an edge to the house or gives an edge to the casino, and that's how they make their money. Similarly to sportsbooks, a standard minus 110 odd line has around a 4.76% house edge. So if you're not beating that consistently with every single prop, every single play that you place, you're going to lose money over the long run. Now, here's the thing that even these sharp sports bettors tend to forget. If you think that you know what you're doing, if you've been line shopping for a little bit, if you've implemented tactics like positive EV, the break-even win rate at a minus 110 odd or a minus 110 line is 52.38%, which means if you are hitting 52% of your bets, right, you're winning at a 52% hit rate, you're still losing money over the long run. So you need to be beating that 52.38% edge at minus 110 odds consistently in order to actually see some type of return, to see some type of profits. On the screen here, I'm going to show you guys a chart of the different break-even percentages at different common odds that you'll see on sportsbooks. And every single time that you're playing these odds, you need to be beating them at a certain percentage in order to actually win money over the long run. So especially if you're betting parlays and you're not using optimal, parlay strategies, you're making it even harder. Books have anywhere from 30 to 50% margins on parlays. That's literally their gold mine. So if you're not using profitable parlay strategies, for example, on DFS apps like Prize Picks, using 6 legs, all of these different things, I have a ton of other videos on how to profit using parlays. But most people tend to fall into the cycle of trying to turn 10 bucks into $1,000 or trying to turn 50 bucks into $50,000 by betting on, futures, like who's going to win the NBA finals, who's going to win the World Cup. All of these different things get these casinos, get these sports books a ton of your money. Now, this is the hidden psychology that actually wrecks most sports bettors' bankrolls. Their emotions, their bias, and their ego. Most sports bettors aren't losing because they're dumb or they don't know what the sport is, right? Most people actually start to sports bet because they think, oh, I played basketball in high school, I played basketball in college, I know the markets, I know what to bet on. They're not losing because they're dumb, but they're losing because they're human, right? Over chasing losses on a bad day, trying to double down to win your money back, or even betting heavier on a nationally televised game like the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals because it's fun. Those are all things that are called behavioral biases. And these sports books, they don't care, they don't really have morals, all they want is to make money off of you. So they're going to exploit this, and they do exploit this like crazy. A study from the Journal of Gambling Studies says that public bettors disproportionately overbet favorites, especially in primetime matchups. Books shade lines accordingly and profit. So the bottom line is, smart bettors stick to edges and emotional ones bankroll the books. So another killer that most people tend to overlook is the illusion of knowledge, right? The illusion of knowledge, what is that? Basically what I said in the last clip of how people think that they're qualified or they think that they know how to sports bet because they play the sport or they know how the sport works, right? This is 2025. You are not qualified to beat the markets just because you know the sport, right? I know a ton about basketball, and I was losing thousands of dollars before I started, researching how to become a profitable bettor. I played all throughout high school, and just because I know how to play or I know, how the sport works, and I'm a big fan of the NBA, doesn't qualify me to beat these $1 million markets, right? It's 2025. You're not betting against the fans. You're betting against, sports books with algorithms. You're betting against the market makers. You're betting against syndicates with millions of dollars behind them. Just because you know or have knowledge of the sport does not qualify you to beat these multi-million-dollar industries that pour billions of dollars into research, right? Vegas wasn't built off winners. They spend millions of dollars into all of their different algorithms, into all of their different lines, into their research, right? So thinking that you know how to beat them just because you know basketball, just because you know baseball, is completely invalid, and this kills a lot of sports bettors' bankrolls just because they have, some type of bias. So watching the games doesn't give you the edge, but what actually gives you the edge is beating CLV or closed line value. And most of you guys watching this video probably don't even know what that is. Tracking CLV is the single best predictor of long-term profitability. If you are constantly beating clothesline value, you're doing something right. But if not, you're probably just lucky. For now. But yeah, let's be real. Even sharp sports bettors still lose. And if you're not doing everything correctly, you can still be a part of that 97% of sports bettors that are losing money, even if you think that you're a sharp sports bettor. You can still have a 5% ROI and hit losing streaks for weeks. You can think you're taking correct positive EV stances, and you're actually taking a bunch of negative EV stances. So these are the 4 things that you want to ask yourself to be considered, separate from that 97%, and to ask yourself if you're really a part of the top 3%. So 1, do you follow a strict bankroll management plan? Because if you don't, then you are at risk of losing a ton of money. Bankroll is super important. If you don't know what your unit size is, you can use this formula. It's called the Kelly criterion. Use the OddsJam website. It's completely free to calculate what bankroll you should be using, right? Whatever you want to do, it's basically up to you, but you just have to be consistent with it. What separates the 97% from the 3% is about discipline and consistency. So are you following a strict bankroll management plan? Do you put 1 unit on every single bet, or do you catch yourself sometimes being emotional and upping your unit size to 3 or 4 units on a bet that you're quote unquote confident on, right? Or that's a lock. Number 2, are you tracking every single bet, right? Even myself or any of the most sharp sports bettors in the world, they're tracking everything. Think about this. Can you really go back 3 or 4 months in the past and remember if you won or lost, that week, or how many bets you've won, how many bets you've lost? Right? So many sports bettors get caught up in the now, in the present of, well, what am I going to bet today? What am I going to bet today? Did I win money today? Am I going to win money tomorrow, right? What about 2-3 months ago? You could have lost $600 and won $50 this week. You're not profitable. You're still $550 in debt or loss, right? You still are losing money, and without tracking your bets, it's basically impossible to know, across all of the different sports books that you're on, if you're winning or losing. So you have to be making sure you're tracking everything, whether you're using an app like Pickit, whether you're using the OddsJam bet tracker, or whether you're tracking everything in a spreadsheet or Excel, something like that. Number 3, are you betting into high liquidity markets? And are you betting stale lines or beating movement? So if you're not doing all 4, you're still a recreational bettor with sharp tendencies, not a real sharp sports bettor. So make sure you're doing all 4 of these things. Ask yourself these things every single time, every single day. Keep track of everything. Have a consistent bankroll, have a consistent unit size. Make sure you're doing all of these things and keep these habits, right? Build good habits so that you are consistent with them, which will lead you into the top 3% of sports bettors. All right, and this next one is a super important one that I even myself sometimes fall into the trap of doing this. And that's the trap of trend betting and TikTok or Twitter picks. Right? Let's call it out. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, they're flooded with these trend sports bettors, with sports pickers, sports bettors that are trying to make money off of you, right? They advertise their premium Discord by saying, oh, Team X is 7-1 at bat, or they're 7-1 on the road with Jimmy Butler injured, or right, this prop hit 6 of the last 7 times at home when blah, 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 blah. You guys know how that works. I'm sure every one of you watching this video have fallen victim to scrolling on Twitter, scrolling on Instagram, seeing exactly what I just mentioned. Someone selling their picks just like that with their research. Trends are descriptive, not predictive. They look good in hindsight, but they're rarely actionable unless tied to a market inefficiency. A system is only valuable if it holds up against the closing line, not just cherry-picked in samples. So yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is all of this research stuff, it doesn't matter, right? It can be, descriptive, right? It is descriptive, but it's not going to tell you what this player or what this team is going to do tonight, right? All that matters when you're sports betting is beating the value, getting the value, playing with an edge, beating the closing line value. When you have an edge is when you're going to be profitable, right? You can spend hours and hours doing all this research and maybe make a couple, win a couple bets, win a couple parlays in the short term, but over the long run, you're still gonna get drained, you're still gonna get rinsed. So always play for the edge. All right, guys, so if you learned anything from this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and turn your notification bells on for more educational sports betting content just like this. Now, I hope you can learn something and not be a part of that 97% of losing sports bettors, because I was certainly once there, and now I'm making money like this every single month from sports betting, okay? So take this, take some notes, whatever you need to do, Be a part of the top 3% of winning sports bettors, because I promise you it's a much better life up here than when you were losing $1,000 every single month and not even knowing it. So I go by the name of Choi Cooks. Follow me on social media and everything like that. Subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.